Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm still Dr. Arnold Nerenberg, and I'm still here since 1941, so I'll be 82 just very shortly. And it's been my privilege to serve and help uplift the people that I see, wonderful people, every day. Uplift, inspire, and learn from. I'm grateful to the people I see. I've learned so much and inspired me so deeply to be able to present to you your own voice. Basically, what I'm going to say to you is speak to you thoughts and understandings that are already within you, but highlight it and bring it into consciousness more. You already know the things I'm about to say, but I'm going to put a spotlight on it. And you're going to find that interesting. I've been licensed as a clinical psychologist in the state of California since 1974. It's over 47 years that I've been here in practice, but over 50 years totally in this field. I like to say to people that I didn't really know what I was doing until I was 70. I did some good. I was always a decent guy and did some good as a psychologist, but I really started getting on a good roll in terms of understanding myself and others and understanding society. So at 82, I feel I'm giving you, at this point, my best. So again, thank you for being here very much. You inspired me to keep giving you these thoughts. The title of today's presentation is, do you have these truly memorable enjoyments? Do you have these truly memorable enjoyments? Truly memorable enjoyments. That's key. There's a lot of enjoyments in life. Certainly, people enjoy themselves on a day-to-day basis. They go for a nice meal together, have maybe a barbecue, steak, potatoes, shrimp, fish, whatever, and really enjoy it. Now, the one thing I'm sure of about that enjoyment, a year from now, for sure you're not going to remember that meal in terms of just the meal by itself, unless some other thing happened at the event. You're not going to remember how much you enjoyed that meal, although you enjoyed the heck out of it then. And maybe you were there really enjoying your friends. You maybe kicking back, just talking, maybe even having a beer, whatever you like to do, enjoy it. You talk with each other. For sure, in a year, you're not going to remember anything. It's not going to be a truly memorable enjoyment, although it was enjoyable. It was. I don't want to take away from any of that. That is enjoyable. That's fun. You might think also of your romantic involvements, wonderful sexual experiences you've had with somebody you deeply care about, were connected to, and it was just so deeply pleasurable and enjoyable, and you had looked forward to it so much, and you enjoyed it. You look back a year, 5 years, I mean, you're not going to remember that orgasm. You're not going to remember what you exactly did unless you really try to dredge up your memory. It's not going to be coming back to you. All that good sex and intimacy, you're not even going to remember it. That's why I'm calling this, do you have these truly memorable enjoyments? Truly memorable. That's key. And so there are a lot of enjoyments on a day-to-day basis that we can enjoy. You go to a baseball game, you're with your friends, you're eating a hot dog or having a pizza, whatever you're doing, and you're really enjoying the heck out of it. And I know 5 years you're not going to remember. It's not a truly memorable enjoyment. So, but you do have truly memorable enjoyments. You have them. You do have them. And I want to talk to you about some of them. I'm going to share it from the first person's point of view, from my own truly memorable enjoyments. And some of it's going to really surprise you. And the reason I'm going to share it with you is because I believe you're having comparable, not identical by any means, enjoyments in your life. Now, so let me share with you one that when I tell you about this enjoyment, you're going to go, you know, I've heard psychologists are a bit crazy, and I'm convinced it's true, because what Dr. Nerenberg just said, I'm convinced psychologists are really a little wacky. So, but what I'm going to tell you is true. And I think I can show you, by the time I'm finished, that why it could be enjoyable. When you first hear it, it's going to sound just preposterous that I can enjoy it. Okay. Little background. I had 2 stents put in my 2 coronary arteries, the LAD and one other artery that were 90% occluded. It was about 3 months ago. And it took care of a number of symptoms that led me to having it done. But also my blood pressure became more labile. Well, last night, my blood pressure went to 190 over 103. And I felt like my head, I really felt I was getting a little dizzy. I hadn't had a spike like that in maybe 12, 13 years. So I knew what to do. I took my clonidine. I took 0.2 milligrams of clonidine. I took available 25 milligrams. I called the paramedics. This was last night. I called my cardiologist at about 1 in. He got up, we were pretty sleepy. Great guy, Dr. Parks. And he said, well, did you take Diavan with us? Oh, because he had taught me that way. If you don't want to get a rebound effect from the carvedilol and the clonidine. So I said, oh, yes, thanks for reminding me. I took the 180, and I knew the ambulance was coming. So this was last night, about 1 in. Walked up the driveway, met the ambulance, and off we went. My wife followed in the van. That's the story of last night. Now, so what I want to tell you is I had a wonderful date with my wife in the emergency room last night. I'm going to tell you why it's a date and why it was wonderful, okay? So I'm lying there. When I was there, for some reason, maybe because of all the commands of honor that I repeat to myself and just a part of me, I was happy to see the medical staff. I enjoy the courtesy. I enjoy the care that they show. I enjoy these people are really doing something meaningful. So I enjoyed the meaningfulness of what they were doing. And in fact, I was talking to one of the guys. He'd taken psychology classes, one of the ERT guys who came in the ambulance. And I was encouraging him to continue with integrated psychology with this kind of work. And probably he's going to remember that. He had a psychologist talking about this one, being wheeled in on a gurney. So I enjoyed that part. But here's the big enjoyment that I had. So my wife's sitting there. I'm so patient, so devoted. My wife is so devoted to me. And so I see her sitting there. I asked her to get me some water. I was getting thirsty. I asked her to get me some more blankets. I was getting a little cold. And I looked at her and I said, wow, so devoted to me, so loyal. I looked at her and told her how much I love her. And I mean, I'll tell you right now, we've gone on great vacations, spending thousands of dollars. It wasn't as deeply meaningful as seeing the devotion of my wife, the loyalty and devotion. It was a great date. Now, it turns out, just to summarize some of it, they didn't find anything wrong. I mean, I didn't have a heart attack. They did PETs. My brain was good. I found out that in the past, they found some shrinkage in my brain when I was 65. I take a lot of fish oil. Maybe that's why there's not the shrinkage there right now. But whatever it was, by the time I got there, my blood pressure was coming down because I'd medicated myself. They didn't really do anything to treat it. They took the enzymes. There was no heart attack. So I felt very grateful. The ER doctor, the nurses. But I had a good time with my wife in the ER room, and that's what I want to tell you about. I believe you're having more fun. I believe you're having more enjoyment than you realize. That's what I want to tell you. You just got to pay attention to it. I'm going to give you more examples, okay? Seeing the virtue in another person is enjoyable. Loving another person, forget about receiving. You always talk about receiving love, but your love for that person is enjoyable. Your respect for the people in your life that you respect, the respect itself is enjoyment. You're having a good time respecting, loving, appreciating. These virtues are actually memorable. Now, I will remember that emergency room visit. I'll remember that. I don't remember a lot of the vacations. I sure as heck don't remember all the wonderful meals we've had, But I remember that. That's a truly memorable enjoyment. And I'm telling you about this because you have many memorable enjoyments that are hidden. You just have to look at it through the right lens. I'm trying to give you that lens to enjoy your life even more. I mean, how much you're enjoying it, I'm giving you another end of this. One of the commandments of honor, the way of honor, promotes this enjoyment. One of the commandments of honor is, I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. So it sort of sets you up for being grateful. A derivative of that is, God, I'm extremely grateful for the magnificent gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. So, these things make you closer to God, and be grateful for the trials and tribulations. So I'm already taught myself this through the way of honor. For instance, very memorable experience for me, memorable enjoyment, a great highlight for me. When I was 65 years old, I went to have my, I had a biopsy made of my prostate, and because it was suspicious that I might have cancer. Well, turns out, I came to see the doctor, sat down, seemed to take forever to talk to me, and he said, well, Dr. Nerenberg, you do have prostate cancer. It's not a small amount, it's intermediate amount, and somewhat aggressive lesion of 7. Well, my face went numb, but because I'm well trained in the commandments of honor, at that time I called them power thrusts, because I'm well trained in that, after my face went numb, I went, Doc, that's great. He said, what? I said, yeah, this prostate cancer will make me stronger spiritually, emotionally, and physically. I'm sure that was memorable for him. Certainly has been for me. When I stepped outside right away, there it was. I saw the clouds, the trees, the birds like I never did before. It was memorable. But more importantly, when I saw people, supposedly strangers, I never met them before, they looked like family to me. I just wanted to go talk to them, embrace them, talk to them like I've known them all my life. But I knew they looked at me as a stranger. I didn't really go and do it. Maybe I did a little bit with somebody when it seemed somewhat appropriate. And that was memorable. That was truly a memorable enjoyment. Truly memorable enjoyment. Again, and also when you're rising in adversity, how we arise in adversity. Wow. So part of the way is appreciating the virtues, rising to adversity in a way, and then seeing the good. Within all things work for good for those who seek the good. As you seek the good, you're going to see it. That's part of the way of honor, to seek the good. I had a felony, some years ago. In fact, I was convicted in 2014, in February 4, 2014. I used to see people from the post office, and I'd see someone, and I'd be on workers' comp. I'd pull them out of work. One of the guys was even going to kill his supervisor, strangle her to death. Pulled them out. The other pulled them out. And so I would take the people out of work, and then see the person 6 months or a year, and then half the time it would be declined. So my patient didn't get paid. I didn't get paid either after all that time. So what I would do is the people where I did get paid from the government and the government's insurance, I would overbill. If I saw them 5 times, maybe I'd bill for 8 or 10 sessions. Well, of course, that was criminal. I knew it was criminal. So one day, FBI, OIG, ICE, Homeland Security raided me. Helicopter was there. 10 cars to my house, to my building here. And eventually, they were taking me. Eventually, as the case progressed, even though I took a plea bargain, the U.S. attorney wanted me to do 21 months in federal prison. Well, one of the great memories of this I'll never forget, my wife said, I'll sell everything and I'll move to wherever you're in prison so I can see you every day. To have that loyalty and devotion to me, it made it all worth it. I mean, I don't recommend criminal activities to achieve these things. It just came with it. I never forgot that. Now, also, I tell people that the honor movement was actually born that day. What I said to the judge was, Your Honor, I knew the difference between right and wrong, and I deliberately chose wrong over right. I don't blame society or my parents. That's on me. I said, I do feel some regret for my criminal activity, but more than that, I'm grateful to you and the arresting officers because really, I never would have stopped. But the last thing I said to Judge Snyder before she sentenced me, and I never saw her again, I've not always lived with honor, but I'll die with honor. I have not always lived with honor, but I will die with honor. Apparently that touched her, and she said, I totally believe Dr. Nerenberg's sincerity, but due to the seriousness of the crime, we want $172,000 restitution, which I didn't have. I ended up borrowing against my house. I paid every penny back. 1 year home detention, so Dr. Nerenberg had an ankle bracelet on for a year with a certain curfew, so my house became the prison instead of being shipped off to another prison. I was given 66 hours where I can be out, see patients, working, doing whatever, but otherwise I had to be home. And I got 5 years probation. I got off in 3 years. So I tell people I wouldn't be half the man I am today if I wasn't a felon who repented. A felon who repented. It really made me a more genuine human being. It really, it gave me the opportunity to really see how deeply and sincere I am, and because one of the commandments of honor is God, your wish is my only wish. How much did I mean that? Because when I was facing prison, I said, God, if you want me to go to prison, I want to go to prison. And I did want to go if God wanted that. But God, if you don't want me to go to prison, I don't want to go. But if you have no preference, I prefer to serve you outside of prison. If you want me to serve you in prison, I'll serve you there. If you want me to serve you outside of prison, I'll serve you outside. If you have no preference, I prefer to serve you outside of prison. Well, then after go, I told you what the judgment was. I should also say when I was facing the prostate cancer and possibly dying, I didn't know how long I'd be here, I said, God, if you want me to go now, I want to go now. Take me. If you want me to stay here and serve you, I want to stay here and serve you. But if you have no preference, I prefer to stay and serve you here. I was granted to stay here. So these were enjoyments. I mean, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed the beauty I perceived when I had the cancer. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed what my wife, what she said. And in fact, I had a number of patients and friends and family come for my sentencing that day. We went out for lunch, and you know, I'm of Jewish heritage. My culture is Jewish. One of the guys said, it's like a big bar mitzvah. It was like a celebration. What I was celebrating was not that I didn't have to go to prison. For me, I was celebrating how I dealt with it. I was celebrating how I dealt with it. Now, I've been to many birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, maybe some communions, whatever. I don't remember them. I mean, they're not truly memorable enjoyments. If I really went back to it and made myself think about it, maybe I can do it. But this is really memorable enjoyments. Memorable. That's very memorable enjoyment. So rising up from the struggle, I should say when I had the prostate cancer, by the way, I did take the title strongest drug-free man in the world for my age and weight. One of my feats of strength was at 65 drug-free doing a 365-pound bench press. Now, I will tell you this. I had many failures on the bench pressing. I mean, it's filled with failure as you're building up, not making a lift. And that's that kind of overcoming adversity and achieving that. But the real enjoyment was I dealt with the adversity, the intimidation of all that weight coming down on you before you lift the weight up. I enjoyed that I did that, persevered. I mean, if it had been easy for me, I just did 365, boom, it was nothing, that wouldn't matter to me. But the adversity I went through and being able to make that lift, I'll never forget. That's one of my truly memorable enjoyments, remembering that bench press of 365. I can't tell you, I mean, I'm pointing this out to you. Why? You have these. You have, You didn't bench press 365. You didn't commit a felony. You didn't have prostate cancer. But you've got them within the context of your own life. And I want you to be able to find that and celebrate that. Celebrate doesn't mean you have a drink to it. No, the enjoying the memory is the celebration. Having a drink to it and going out and dancing to it, that's nice. But that's not the truth. The true celebration is remembering it and enjoying the truly memorable pleasure. That's the celebration. I want you to have many, many more of these celebrations. And the beautiful thing about this celebration is there's no cost in terms of having to go somewhere or go, do a particular thing. It's there for you all the time. It's always there for you. Now, so another is truly seeing another person. Truly seeing. Where you see, I remember really seeing my wife. Really seeing it. It was like, she knows when I see her, and I know when she sees me. The whole perception changes. Those perceptions of some of the truly, are true memorable enjoyments when we're really seeing. Now, some of the pleasures have to do with the sacred and holiness. It could be in a religious setting. It could be in a non-religious setting. Some for me, remember being at a Church of Christ once when I was in Ohio. All of a sudden I felt some kind of veil lift, and I felt I was one of the followers of Jesus Christ. It was like being a lamb and being the flock. It was just lasted maybe 15, 20 seconds. So there's rising in adversity, perceiving a virtue, truly seeing holiness. You remember having this patient, Jimmy. He had this job. He was head of security at a major TV situation. And he was about maybe 30 days, 60 days away from retirement after over there 30 years. And the people he was supervising, he was a supervisor, were all looking at this very famous person naked on a picture that a boyfriend had sent out, and they were all watching that. And he just didn't stop them. He just let them go on with it. So the management found out, and they fired him. And he said, it wasn't just the loss of my income and my retirement package. I used to feel very loved and respected. At Christmas time, I'd get a car full of gifts. I lost all of that. I lost my insurance, I lost my retirement package, and all the respect and enjoyment I had. And that's in addition to the money. So I said to him, as I showed him the way of honor, I said, what if I told you that within 4 weeks, you're going to say it was the best thing that ever happened to you? He actually laughed. He said, I'm here to tell you that getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. I said, yeah. Didn't take 4 weeks. 3 weeks later, he says, Doc, I can't believe I'm telling you this. All these years I've worked, I've gotten up 4 or 5 in the morning, went to work. My wife and I have a good marriage, but it was not, extraordinary. It was a good marriage. Well, my wife said to me recently, she said, sweetheart, don't think I don't know all the good things you're doing. You're vacuuming, getting the food ready. You've never done that for me. So I want you to know I really see that, and I appreciate you, and I love you more than ever. He said to me, so his whole feeling about being fired, not lost, is that was the best thing that ever happened to me. So his perception changed, and it was an enjoyment, because look what it led to. Because one of the ways in the way of honor, it's a derivative of one of the commandments of honor, is what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? What's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? As you apply that, And I've got many lectures where I talk about the commandments of honor, the laws of honor, the supremacy of honor code, but just mentioning a few right now. As you apply that in your life, you will find whenever there's a loss, there's a gain. The loss is real. The gain is there. Now, I had a patient. Her son was shot 9 times. She came in weeping. I said to her, I said, this is heartbreaking. I said, I've got 7 children. That's a parent's nightmare. I said, I feel your pain. I understand it as a parent, as a human being. But what if I tell you the best true story you can tell yourself about that problem that will give dignity, meaning, and honor to you and to your son? She said, well, doctor, what would that be? And I said, here it is. You ready? He said, yes. They couldn't kill my son. They shot him 9 times. God has a purpose for his life. She lit up. She became happy and she walked out. Yeah, God does have a purpose for his life. She was just floating as she went out. And then when I saw her the next week, she was still beaming. I said, did you tell your son what I said? Yeah. I said, it made him smile. In fact, he even laughed. And for what she told me later on, he turned to God more than ever. So I'm sure with that perception that this became, because of the victory of overcoming the adversity and seeing the wonderful spiritual benefit that came from it, that it became a memorable enjoyment for her. Had a patient come in, big, we called it a roughneck. I mean, he worked in the oil fields, big, tatted, big, powerful-looking guy, just really sad-looking, looked like he wanted to cry. He said, Doc, I've lost everything. My wife left me. She left me for another man. Took my kids. I don't even know where they are. I got so stressed I couldn't make my mortgage payments. I lost everything. I lost my house. Lost everything, Doc. I said to him, wow, as a man, as a human being, that's totally 100% tragic. I feel for you. I feel compassion for you. What if I told you there's the best true story you can tell you about that will give you dignity, meaning, and honor in your life? I said, well, tell me what that is, Doc. Ready? He said, yep. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. He went from this deep frown to, I have gained myself. Yeah. He walked out beaming. In fact, he went to my secretary. He says, I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. Well, now he has an enjoyable memory. I mean, he still have his wife, his kids at his house, and I'm sure at times that really got to him. But he also had that perception, which he could enjoy how he gained himself, just like the other person enjoyed that God has a purpose for her son. In fact, he turned to God more than ever, became a very devoted Christian. So these are the enjoyments. I'm telling you about these incidents of my own life. I can tell you many, many stories like that I've seen. But what I'm telling you, this is to enhance your enjoyment that you're having in your life that are truly memorable, really, really memorable enjoyments. I went to Columbia University. I got into the graduate. I did my master's work there. They gave me what's called a terminal master's degree. They said, you're not able to go on for your Ph.D. over here. I called one of the guys that was on that committee because I did super well I was so knowledgeable, but it was a very political system. So I called one of the guys, Howard, I think it was Howard Hunt, well-known personality researcher at Columbia University. And he was on that committee examining me. And I knew my stuff, but I called him up and said, what happened? Because one of the professors told me he really spoke against me. That was on that committee. Professor Hefferline, who was there, told me he really spoke against you. We were in a class with him. I wasn't. I think I offended him. I didn't mean to one time. I offended him. And I think that's what happened. I went to just one class and he spoke against me quite a bit. So when I called him, here's what he said to me. Here I am, 22-year-old man. He said, now this is really something. He said, you seem to know what you're talking about, but you don't. That's what he said. Well, I had nightmares about that whole thing for years afterwards. Well, I went in electrical engineering for a while because I was interested in the field of electrical psychology. I went to the RCA Institute of Electronics after I had that terminal master's. Always thought of myself as a Columbia reject. Of course, now I say, no, I'm a Columbia graduate, but it took 50 years to say I've graduated, not just rejected. Then I got to University of Texas in terms of my specialization, which was learning theory. It was right up there with Columbia, maybe even better. So 3 years later, I defended my doctoral dissertation, and Dr. Bimman came out. I remember this moment to this day. He shook my hand and says, "Congratulations, Dr. Nerenberg." Never forgot that. The adversity, the long journey of 6-year journey, 2 years at Columbia, a year in between, and another 3 years at the University of Texas. So we're overcoming, and you're rising up in the struggle. It will lead to, it can lead to great enjoyment, a truly, truly memorable experience. Truly memorable experience. And that was over 50 years. That was 1969. I'm telling you these things. Again, I want to emphasize why I'm telling you these things. Because I want you to enjoy your life more. You have these kinds of experiences, and enjoy it. Those are the truly memorable ones. That's the beauty, the real meaningful, beautiful part of your life, a lot of that. Whatever other enjoyments you have, I just want you to be able to benefit from this enjoyment as well. Well, I'm going to open this up for conversation. I'm going to see who has any comments to make on this. Stacy, anything you want to ask or say about what I've said?
I mean, wow, that was chilling. Like, I have chills when you speak and you share your story, and I hear everything you say, and I believe in all of your truths, and I really, right now, am trying to find all those truly memorable moments in my life and find a way to use that as a source for inspiration to my next step, because I'm so uncertain about, what that is. And at the moment I'm crushed, like floored, like my breath has been taken away, and I'm trying to learn to be okay with that. But when you share your stories, Doctor, and your perspective and your 82 years, I can't help but trust that's the truth. And so I just want to say I gained a lot of hope from this, and I'm glad I joined tonight.
Stacy, I know the tribulations you're going through, and all of this. My hope for you is you find the best true story about these things. I mean, you're going through big losses and health issues and passing your dog. I mean, I know. I had a dog. I don't know how you had your dog 18 years. That was your, very close companion to you. I had a dog named Pepper, and when my parents moved away, he stayed with my parents. I'd come see him at times. But he was about 16 years old, and my parents told me he passed away. Well, that was a loss, but not as big as yours because I wasn't seeing him very often. He was in Canada. The only time I ever had any kind of what you would call experience with a deceased, you hear these people seen certain people after they pass away. I never had that. But I was kind of at a half sleep, and Pepper came to me. By the way, scared the heck out of me at the moment. I went gasping for air. But that was wonderful. I got to see him. And then he disappeared. He stayed for maybe 30 seconds, but for some reason, it overwhelmed me. And you'd think I was glad to see him. I was just too shocked by the whole thing. Never came back. But I enjoyed that. But it was a memorable experience, and it's a positive, very memorable, positive experience. Perhaps yours will come back to you in dreams or vision, whatever. But we'll wait. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's my hope, is for you to find truly memorable enjoyments mingled right into what I know are difficult medical, emotional issues. I know. Thanks for everything you said, Stacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything too, Doctor. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Now, Tracy, I know you're not participating much right now. Is there anything you want to ask or say?
Yes, I'm just glad you're okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm extremely healthy, strong, healthy, but etiology unknown. But thank you for that, Tracy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christy, any comments or questions that you have?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like it's hard. I think I'm very much an empath, and so when there are people, it's not just like if it's not my experience, it may be an experience with people in my family or people that I'm close to. If they're going through hardships, it affects me very, very deeply. So your message puts perspective on, that statement of what's the best true story I can tell myself about this, because even though it's not happening directly to me, it still affects me in a great way. And of course, when there are things that happen directly to me, I spiral for a few days. And so it's hard to kind of have that perspective.
Well, that's something you have to really be deep in. The repetition is preparation for application of the commandments of honor, the bridge, the supremacy of honor code, the laws. But you have to be really deep in watching the videos, and those perceptions will come to you. I'll give you an example similar to what you're talking about. Somebody I'm very close to, I know her very well. She's a person who graduated top of her class, top schools and law school. But she failed her bar the first time, and then we're waiting for the results on the second time. I said, I'll be very happy if you fail, because then you move closer to us. We'll get to see you more. And if you don't, I'll be relieved. Well, I was the one that opened her results and said, well, we're getting good news. I mean, it looks like you move closer to us. Now, I was very happy about it because, one, I knew that the job, even though it was very prestigious, was not that super interesting to her. And I also wanted to move closer by, so it would be good for her and for my wife and myself if she was nearby. And this is a person who's been very successful, graduating high honors, the best schools. And I really feel some failure experiences were really good for her, but she was pretty crushed. I felt really happy for her. I said, this is, you needed some of this. I mean, to go through life, it's better now than when you're older to get your first defeat. This is good for you. So I felt it's a healing medicine, and I have every confidence that she will eventually pass. I know Governor Brown, I think, failed it 3 or 4 times before he passed his bar. California is the toughest bar in the country. But nonetheless, I have a whole video on the power of failure, and I talk about all my failures and all the great things they led to. But I didn't talk about it from the point of view of enjoyment. So I could say I enjoy the progress this is going to lead to in her spiritually and emotionally. And this person turned to God more at this time. Normally she doesn't turn to God much. She turned much worse. I was I've enjoyed, and I'm actually happy that it took this. This is what it often takes for people to grow, turn to God, pursue their highest values, setbacks and failures. It's been true of me, and so I was happy before. I wouldn't have been happy, if it had been something too disastrous. But I mean, there's some limits on it, presumably. But there's a wide range of where you can be really happy for somebody, what they're going through, and of course the person has to be secure in your love. I mean, this person knows that we love her and whatnot. But right. Really, really happy for it. And it was a devastating blow, humiliating to her. Humiliating. I've known humiliation in my life. It's good to get to deal with it. So, so I hear you. So the things you see the people going through, it's good that you're an empath. So you have that, shows you can have that compassion, but you want to finish the story of what the gain is going to be. You know, they're going through, you know, just when I told that woman whose son was shot, I'm going to say, oh, this is a great thing. I didn't say that. I said, as a father, as a human being, I feel so much compassion for you. It's a tragedy. There's no erasing that. But this could lead to something very good in terms of bringing dignity and respect and honor to you and your son. And that's what lit her up. But I didn't start off by saying I'm really happy for you. Your son was shot and I did. So, you know, so you being an empath, feeling your suffering yourself over it, that's good. And then you need to finish the story. There's always a gain in a loss. Always a gain in that loss. 100%.
Yeah, and one of the things too that, you know, I recite is that, you know, I understand that there's an element of time that needs to take place. And there's, you know, a verse in the Bible that says, you know, the Lord will fight for you. The only thing you need to be is still. And so, meaning that, you know, the more that I or we try to control a situation without just letting the time pass and letting, you know, giving it up to God, I think that that's where, you know, I, of course, start spinning out of control too. So,
well, that's why I broke down. I mean, all of my teachings are scripturally, you know, inspired by the Holy Spirit.
yes.
That's why I go repetition is preparation for application. You have to be really, you can't take too many concepts and do it with. So I have a limited number, like the basics are 4 commandments of honor and the bridge being what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do, to ask that question. So that's the basics. A person internalizes that, then you're more prone to respond in a way that will maximize the constructive perception and the growth in wisdom. Wisdom is the integration of our gains and our losses, our joys and our sorrows into a constructive perspective. That's how I define it. And so it'll increase the wisdom. As we follow the way of honor, we will suffer. We suffer whether we follow it or not, but we'll be more resilient. We'll come back more quickly, and we can enter these perceptions that will bring us wisdom and compassion. But I hope that will help you in you picking up so much of people's feelings. That's a lot to carry, but it can be dealt with. I say this about honor: it's the shield against our own negativity, because it will lead to it as our shield, where we can transmute it into something positive, not deny the negative, but transmute it to something positive. The idea is to become a specialist in transforming tribulation into triumph. That's the whole path of the way of honor: transforming tribulation into triumph.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Chrissy. Always wonderful things that you add. Thank you. Kimberly, anything you want to say or ask?
I feel like I really enjoy your stories, by the way. So thank you for sharing that. When it comes to my past and my memorable enjoyments, I feel like I don't have that many, to be honest. I still have yet to kind of see, you know. Yeah, there's not that much for me to say.
Well, at your age, I don't know how many I had either.
Yeah,
it takes a while to be able to get that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously there are some times where you're just like something kind of, you know, you get very good experience by whatever happens to you. And you're like, wow, you know, I'm definitely not going to do that again or whatever. But when I really think about it, yeah, it's just not, yeah, I can't really say.
You know, yeah, it takes a while, but as you have these principles, and as I said, some of it's, you know, rising to above the adversity, you know, perceiving the virtue in others. But you're having the experience, you're seeing virtue in others, and that's something, I'm sure you're seeing virtue, and you have love, respect for people. That's something you could be enjoying now. You just have to focus more on that. You already have that. You're such a loving person, and it may not be reciprocated the way it should be, but still you can enjoy that love, and you can reflect, even at your age, you can be reflecting on the great loves you've had. Again, it might have been disappointing in the end, but there have been great loves that you felt for people.
Yeah, I need to work on that. I feel like, because you're right. I feel like when I give all my love and all my affection to someone or to anyone, even just to help them out, and then they just kind of don't appreciate it as much. It's like, wow, I wouldn't do that to you, but I feel like I just need to get past that. Like, I need to get over that. It's very hard for me to do. And I feel like that kind of like, you know, it just...
Well, I'll tell you what...
My judgment, it clouds everything.
Well, that's understandable. Totally understandable. It can be overpowered by the hurt and resentment that goes with it. What helps a person go beyond that is having children. They're very ungrateful. 2 years old, 3 years old, you don't see much gratitude. 4, it's just a one-way giving. You give. And sometimes they get older and you gave them everything and they may not even be grateful then. They may resent you didn't give them this, you didn't give them that. But the gift is that unconditional love that we have for the child. So that's a really good primer in being able to enjoy the love, even though what you get back, particularly with a child, may or may not be there, often not there. And then spiritual enjoyments, whatever you have. I remember the first time I experienced joy in my life, I was at an Orthodox Jewish camp, and we were welcoming in the Sabbath on a Friday night, the Shabbos, and it was all men's camp, and we're all dancing, holding each other's shoulders, dancing, rejoicing, and I felt for the first time in my life joy. I mean, it was like, wow. I never forgot that experience. I enjoy the memory of that joy that I felt. So I felt these deep spiritual experiences in different spiritual settings, different religious settings, and of course my Jewish heritage being one of them. You'll see those experiences even spiritually will happen, but gratitude and love and respect are very spiritual. These are very spiritual attributes to be enjoyed and savored. You savor the love. You savor the gratitude. Gratitude is really uplifting. Really, really uplifting. Yeah. But Kimberly, as always, you're so genuine and real, and I really appreciate. And I'm grateful you're making it, because I mean you're studying all day. You're a nurse.
It's horrible, but I promise. If I could, I promise to.
Yeah.
If I could, I would. And if
I'm always glad. I'm always surprised.
I'll try more.
I'm surprised and always glad that you're able to make it. Yeah, always so.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
Thank
you for everything, and thank you for your stories and all of this, what you do for us. It makes a difference, and it's kind of like I always come out with a different mindset, and I enjoy hearing everyone's stories and what they have to say, because I'm like, wow, like it just, it makes me feel like I'm just not the only one that's going through that, or I'm not the only one that, that went through that, or thinks that way. It's just, it's nice.
That's one of the things I hear from a lot of people. I say, I really enjoy what you said, but I really enjoy hearing what the other people said. There's a lot of growth from hearing each other. And one of the points that people get is that feeling they're not alone in a struggle. That's extremely reassuring. Extremely. Because a lot of times the struggle is a lonely journey. Very often lonely journey. Especially if you think you're the only one. When you realize you're just human, part of the human journey, it's very reassuring. Like I said, Kimberly, didn't know what I was doing until I was 70. I didn't know these. You're passing this on to younger people to be able to go beyond where I'm at now, to be able to take this knowledge, internalize it, and go even further. Yeah.
Thank
you.
you.
You're welcome.
Doctor.
You're welcome, Kimberly. Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say?
Doctor, how you doing?
Good.
This is Arturo.
Arturo, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? I got here a little late, but I'm here. Your story. This is about probably the third, fourth time that I hear it, but it never gets old. I like to hear it over and over, because I'm going through a bitter divorce.
I know.
It's been 3 years and it's bad, money wise, stressful and everything. But the difference now, I'm dealing with this divorce with honor. And I can't compare your story to mine, because it's just a divorce, but still.
Oh, no, divorce is traumatic. It's a major event. Very, very, very few people could walk that honorably. That you're doing it and that you're aspiring to do it is the epitome of honor, because that's the battlefield. That's an amazing battlefield to really prove your worth.
And I'm fighting with a person that has no honor, which is my ex.
Yeah, you don't let them
difficult.
You don't let them take advantage, because that's not good for them either. But at the same time, You're wishing them well. You always seek fairness as the guiding principle in terms of whether it's visitation, financial settlement, whatever it is. You're seeking fairness, not for just your own personal gain. You want to make sure that person is okay as well. And you wish them well within yourself. And of course, you say to yourself, I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. But you don't let them walk on you either. That's not healthy for them or you. So,
exactly.
So yeah, and that can be done. And you aspire to do it. That's your intention. I admire you for that and respect you for that enormously, Arturo. Because I know you, and I know you well. I mean, you're a Marine. You're a tough guy. You've got a lot of aggressive energy in you. I mean, you've got a lot of. You can get pretty angry, but yet I've seen you apologize for it. I've seen you humble yourself. What can I say? I respect you. I know your struggle. See, the reason I can respect you so much is because I also know your struggle. This wasn't easy for you to be, dealing with your anger and that kind of tremendous aggressive energy in you. The way you're doing is monumental. People won't know that, but I do.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Arturo. And thank you for your input. Grateful.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Very noble. Well, it's been my pleasure to present. Do you have these truly memorable enjoyments? I'm grateful you were here. Thank you for being with us today.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.